Hey, it's Mr. Paul. Talking about A Course in Miracles again today, and it's a nice sunny day here. We're even up to 68 degrees, and the sun's shining, and there's a nice breeze. So I thought I'd come out, have a little chat. I want to make a shorter video talking about why miracles are supernatural. So in A Course in Miracles, it talks about how the Holy Spirit enables you to do things that are not of this world, and you're able to do things that defy all of the laws of the world, all the physical laws, everything to do with time and space and matter and limitations. So if you can understand that the physical universe, as it appears, is actually the surface of another reality that is invisible to the eyes. So although we tend to think that this world is immediate reality, and it's like this is right here, and you look at things and you see things causing other things, and you think, okay, this is where it's happening, this is where it's going down, and you get used to the ways that that we're very limited in this universe, like stuck in bodies, and you got things like gravity and time, and things take time, and physical space is everything's separated out and confined to objects, and we've got all these limitations and all these appearances and things. We just think it's real and normal and it's part of reality, but the secret is that this is just the lower level of a holographic reality, where how things appear is just a surface illusion that is coming from somewhere else that's hidden from awareness, or hidden from being able to see it. It seems invisible, so you don't even think it's there. And what that means is that this whole world, the surface appearance of this universe, is once removed from reality. It's actually it's an effect. It's just an effect of another cause that you don't see, something that's projecting it. And because you don't see the projecting happening, you kind of think, oh, this is just reality right here. And it's quite warm today. So it creates this big illusion that you think that everything you see is real, and everything here in the world is a place, or it's a real thing. But there's actually a hidden realm of mind that is the primary cause of this whole universe. And what that means is that in this world, things look as though they cause each other at this level. So you start making stories at this level based on appearances, based on how things look. You drop a ball and it goes down toward the ground and bounces on the ground, and the ground has made it bounce or whatever. Certain laws must be in place. There's gravity happening. I look up there and I see the moon. The moon supposedly is swinging around the earth because of gravity, laws of physics, and mass, and things like that. And it creates this whole illusion that things in this world cause other things to happen. But there's a secret that even the things that look like causes are themselves being caused by something that you don't see. And that means that this world doesn't really contain the first cause, the source of cause. It actually has secondary causes that look like they're the place where things were initiated or action was initiated on this level, but it actually comes from another level, another dimension almost. And so let's say that on this, see, what we don't realize is that we're inside kind of like a movie that has certain limitations put on it that are required in order to buy into this story, to give it some context and to paint a certain picture, in order to sort of create an atmosphere or a kind of a suspension of disbelief, where so long as you don't sort of see any hints that there is something beyond, you tend to sort of buy into the story and think this is all that there is. And so, like, if you have like let's say you have a director of a movie, and the director is able to say, well, I want to have this scene here, and I want to have these objects over here, and I want to do the recording, and I don't really like this part, let's change it to something else. The director has power over and creative authority over the movie. If you're in the movie and you're sort of in the scenes of the movie and the movie's playing, you kind of can only go where the movie goes. The only things that can happen, or seemingly only things that can happen, are the things that were written into the movie from a different place, from a different author. So if all of a sudden you're watching this movie and you got this sort of a nice bit of atmosphere and story that's built up, and you've got all these supporting facts and things that make it look like it's a cohesive reality, and all of a sudden you get to a scene where there's a kind of a burp, and one of the camera crew steps into the scene by accident and sort of blows the illusion that this was supposed to be an immersive movie experience. You sort of suddenly, your mind suddenly is blown by, the bubble of believing that this illusion was a real happening thing is suddenly burst. It just blows the whole the fiction of it. It suddenly reveals that there's something going on behind this. This isn't just what it appears to be. And if you remember, like the Truman Show, the film with Jim Carrey, and he lives in this world where every day it kind of repeats, and he's actually inside a giant TV show where they're deliberately making the same stuff happen every day to try to from his birth, so that he doesn't realize that there's any other possibilities. Lives in a very limited kind of existence where he just assumes that whatever happens that day is what's going to happen every day, and it's supposed to be this way, and this is normal limitation, and this is how reality is. And then gradually over time, some things go wrong, and he starts to wake up from it and starts questioning things, and starts seeing some of the actors behind the scenes and things, and pieces of scenery start to be exposed, and he finally kind of ventures away and runs into the horizon with his boat, and his boat pierces the image of the sky that was a fake image, and he suddenly realizes, oh my God, this whole entire world is a setup, and I've been living inside a box, living inside limitations for a very long time, and not realizing just how limited I am. And then he goes out, he finally gets out of the fiction, gets out of the dream, and the whole fiction of his life is exposed. And then he meets the director, of course, and the behind the scenes puppet master that makes things happen in the world. This is what it's like in this world as well. This whole physical world is a fantasy story that is being written from another location, behind the scenes directors who are implementing very limited closed systems that look consistent and seem to make sense, and the same things keep happening, and there starts to be a sort of a reliability, like there's a car just went past, and like every car, the car wheels turned and the car went down the hill and followed gravity, and the engine made it go forward. That's considered normal, because that's what we've learned is sort of, this is normality. This is how this world functions. This is following the laws of physics and gravity, and you get used to it, and then you don't realize how much you've gotten used to living inside a very confined, limited existence, and you think that the laws of physics or the laws of the world are just a given, like they're reality, like you have to be limited by them. You must be under the effect of gravity. You must proceed in linear time, and the size of your body cannot change, and certain objects affect certain other objects in a consistent way. All these illusions that create a picture of this world is the only way that reality can be. And then you buy into that and you accept it as reality, not realizing that all of these laws, these ways that you have to sort of comply with what seems to be normal, and you can't seem to break the laws, you just kind of accept them and live inside of them as if the only freedom that you have is within the confines of the laws of physics and what's possible, not realizing that there's another level, there's another reality, there's another place, an earlier source that has made this world, and that implemented these limitations and added these laws and created the bodies to be limited and made gravity, created all the laws of physics and all the ways that you can or cannot do certain things normally through when you're locked inside of the physics of the universe. It seems as though you cannot break out, like a prison. You don't realize how imprisoned you are. But who you are as a son of God, as a holy being in heaven, you have no limitations, absolutely no limitations of any kind. You're not limited by space or time or matter or physics or gravity or in any of the ways that you think certain limitations are normal. You're not bound by them. So, like, the car that I'm sitting in probably weighs, I don't know how much a car weighs, but it's heavy. That would suggest to you there's no way that this car can go up in the air by itself. And you've sort of accepted that as a limitation, like it seems normal, but this limitation is artificial, and it's been put in place from another place where there are no limitations, and now it seems that the car cannot move. So if all of a sudden the car was to float up in the air, now you're talking about miracles, because what a miracle does is it exposes the fact that all the limitations in this universe are not really fixed limitations, and they can be transcended and overridden. You can bend the laws of physics. You can, because you're coming from a place where you actually made the laws of this world, the functioning of the world. And you, as the maker of the world, can modify and redesign the laws. You're outside of them, so you're not limited by them. You only seem limited by them when you're not being miraculous. So whenever a miracle happens, it literally defies the laws of the world and reveals that what you thought was a permanent limitation, something that can never be changed, something that's very fixed and it's just a given and nobody seems to have power over it, when it's demonstrated that it can be changed, that is a miracle. It is a supernatural miracle. It's coming from a place above. Super means above the ego's laws, the laws of the appearance of this layer of reality, this physical surface of this universe. When the primary cause of this universe decides to make a change, this universe has no say in it and has to change, even if that means changing the laws that seem to be in effect in this universe. It transcends those laws. That mind has more freedom than you can possibly imagine. Any way that you think you are limited and bound by forms and matter and energy and time and space and something being solid or unchangeable, or a sin that cannot be reversed, or a death that cannot be undone. There is nothing that your holiness cannot do from the vantage point of not believing this illusion is fixed reality, recognizing that it is only the surface appearance of a big fake story, and getting back in touch with the story writing ability that you have to change it. And when miracles demonstrate that physical forms and bodies and so on can be changed in ways that the laws on this level would suggest, no, there's no way that that can happen, that is a miracle. It is a teaching device, and it would reveal to you that what you thought was true is not true. And this is what miracles do. They educate, they undo denial and restore the truth. And believing that these physical laws are truth is actually denial, because they're not physical, they're not real laws. It's just illusions. So, although I'm not able right now, if I could, the road underneath the car is very solid and made of concrete or asphalt or whatever. Doesn't seem possible that it could be changed without touching it, but the power of the mind could put a big dent in the road. or plant a tree in the middle of the road that was not there before, and to onlookers it would be miraculous. It would be a defiance of the physical laws. Or if this car floated up in the air and defied gravity, onlookers would their belief in what the ways that they have to be limited would be questioned, because now it's been demonstrated that it's not true that everything is bound by gravity. You can walk on water. If you are masterful enough, you can do that. You can show that you are not inside the limitations of the illusory sort of framework of the story of this world, the limited way that it seems to sort of follow fixed rules and only certain outcomes, and the only way that you can make something happen is to go through this long process of transforming materials and putting in a lot of effort and work to change one thing into another with your bare hands. You can't do it with your mind. But the mind does have the power to do that. It could convert let's say, water into wine. It could convert a limitation in number of loaves and fishes into a vast amount of food to feed thousands of people. It could raise somebody from the dead. It could bring body parts to bodies that didn't seem to have body parts, or they were missing organs or had defective organs. So the key is that you have to realize this world is very, very, very limited and very limiting, very finite, and the ways that it's limited are very unnatural. And there's a way to get yourself back to the mind that is behind this world, that is causing this world, that has complete freedom from all of these limitations to be able to do literally anything. Like the movie director who can just say, well, I don't like this, let's change it. This scene has too many dead bodies, let's put some live bodies in there. Or I don't like how the mountain is over here, I want to move it, let's move the mountain. And to the people that are on the horizontal within the movie or within the story, the fiction, who would say, no, you can't do that because the laws don't say you can do that, and it would defy gravity, and the mountain is too big and heavy, there's no way you can just lift it up and make it go somewhere, nobody's ever done that before. But the mind of the Son of God has that power. God has that power through the Son to be able to do that. And this is how Moses was able to part the ocean. The Holy Spirit moved through him to bring about a parting of the Red Sea and literally made the huge amounts of water move aside. And if you think that you don't have the power to do that, consider this. This whole universe did not exist until you dreamed of it. This entire universe and all the planets and all the bodies and all the people and everything did not exist at all until the Son of God started to believe in them and started to make them. This is the world that we've made. So if we made this, we must have freaking amazing degrees of power hidden from consciousness, trapped behind blocks to awareness. The sheer power of Christ that has dreamed of an entire universe and just made it out of nothing. In the Urtext, it actually says, your mind is powerful enough, you can create worlds. And you have. You created this planet. There's nothing that your mind cannot do. And so because the story is so much more limited than the reality within which the story is written, the flexibility that you have is far more than you realize by just being inside the story. The amount of freedom that you have is extraordinary. It's absolutely unlimited freedom. And this is why miracles are supernatural. They come from a place outside of the dream. They come from God through Christ and do things which literally break the illusion that you're limited by anything in this world. If somebody was really interested in making a movie where everything is really consistent and it's believable and nothing out of the ordinary happens, and you don't have any camera crew showing up in the corner of the scene, or a bird suddenly swoops down in the middle of the shot, or whatever, things that you don't want to happen, things that you keep out in order not to blow your cover that this is fake. A movie is totally fake. It's a fake illusion of a drama and a series of cause and effect events. And the movie director takes great pains to make sure that the fiction is believable by not giving any hints as to how the things that happen are actually being orchestrated by someone, and the wool is being pulled over your eyes, and there are secrets and tricks happening to make it look as if certain things happen. Particularly the idea of a camera, which you assume there's no camera in the scene. And yet somebody's standing there in a situation where it's supposed to be just the people there, and the camera is almost invisible, so you don't even realize there's a cameraman standing there in the same room as the people doing whatever they're doing. It's an illusion, and the only way that it's believable is by not revealing the secret strings that are being pulled from outside of that illusion. This is exactly how it is within the physical world. There are strings being pulled from beyond this universe that are causing things in this universe to happen in a very strict, finite, linear, broken apart, separated out way that seems to make sense and looks as though it's consistent and is believable, with barely a trace of anything defying the consistency of what seems to be reality. But that's only because it's been shut out. It's only because there's denial. There's denial in between this universe and the next one, the place you go when you die. And because we just don't recognize how limited this reality is, we don't even suspect that there might be some secret mind behind this that is making stuff happen and making illusions happen and making out that one thing causes another thing. Like there's a car that drives down the road and it runs into I don't know, runs into a tree or something, or a lamppost. Here's the lamppost, here's the car comes along, hits the lamppost, bends the metal. Looks as if the car causes the metal to bend, but anybody who looks at it would say, okay, the car dented the lamppost. But from the fact that this is an illusion and it's just a fact, and there's a higher level of mind that projects both the car and the lamppost simultaneously, from that mind's perspective, the car does not cause the lamppost to do anything. The lamppost would stay perfectly intact if that mind decided that the lamppost is going to stay intact, and the car would come along and maybe pass through it, or the car would have to stop without producing any effects because the supernatural power is protecting that lamppost. It's deciding nothing's going to happen to this lamppost. But if the higher power decides, I'm going to make the lamppost bend just at the moment in time when the car touches it, to create an illusion that the car causes the lamppost to bend, everybody's going to believe that the car damaged the lamppost, buy into the illusion. But it is an illusion. There is no cause and effect on the physical level of the world. All of it is being orchestrated from another place. And as Jesus says, this world is not a cause. It is nothing but an effect. There are no causes in the world. There is no power out there that has the power to bring oppression or make you upset or ill or weak or afraid or hurt you in any way. There are no causes in the world. Anything that looks like a cause is an illusion of a cause. It is actually an effect of another cause that you're not seeing. And one of the analogies for that simply is the dreamer of the dream, or a person, one of many dreamers. Somebody's dreaming of things happening, and their dream contains both a car and a lamppost, and things that seem to change as the car touches the lamppost, as if to uphold laws of physics, but both the car and the lamppost are being dreamed by the dreamer from a hidden reality that you're not seeing, and not realizing that it's coming from somewhere else, and therefore the car is not the cause of the lamppost getting changed. It is not the laws of physics that make it happen. It is the mind that is working through those laws and implementing those laws and deciding that those laws apply. They're not real laws. They're limitations. They are restrictions and confinements and ways to stop certain things happening in order to make illusions seem real. So when you can realize that the things in this world, the things that seem to happen to you, are once removed from what's really causing it. The cause is in my mind, not out there. The cause of this universe is beyond this universe, and anything that looks like a cause externally, therefore, has to be a lie. It's a visual lie. It's an illusion. The ways that physical objects are limited, and they can't share the same space, and they're under the law of gravity, and they have certain material properties and molecular structures, and all this illusion of atomic particles that interact with each other in very specific ways to create this illusion, and seem to have consistency to the point where scientists think that there's like a real truth behind this, that there's a set of laws, a universal theology that's impossible, that seems to be in play. And no matter how much you look at it, you can't seem to get past the fact that it's not real. I think some of the quantum physics and stuff now is starting to catch on that there are some ways that you can prove that this universe really does not exist. It's illusory. It should not be happening. And the appearance of it is not what's really there. This is just a symbolic dream, a symbolic world, and symbols are not things in themselves. They're just representatives of something somewhere else. That's why this is a dream. Every dream is symbolic. There is no such thing as a real dream. The things in the dream, even people's bodies, are symbols of separation. people's houses are symbols of hiding from God. You know, light and dark, the sun and shadows is symbolic of the way that blocks to awareness, such as clouds, block the light and create the illusion of darkness. Outer space is symbolic of the total erasing of all light of heaven and the contracting down into tiny suns that are little dots of light as all you have left over, because all the rest of the light has been denied. It's like space or dark matter or whatever is a symbol for the unconscious mind. Everywhere you look, this is all a dream. And things in dreams not only are not real, but they are not things in themselves, because they always symbolize something somewhere else. They're representatives of something else. My body is a symbol for what's in my mind. It's not a thing. It doesn't have its own existence. It doesn't have its own identity. It's not a standalone thing. Everything in this universe is a symbolic part of a holographic dream. And the source of the hologram, which is not the appearance of the hologram, is the only cause of everything that appears. And it's because of that that there are supernatural miracles. The higher level or the deeper level of the hologram, where the underlying reality, the mind that projects dreams and symbolic illusions of separation, that mind is once removed from physical reality, and that makes physical reality not the starting point of causes and actions. It is secondary. This is a second-hand world. It is an effect of the mind. It cannot therefore be really a cause, because, like, say you've got two causes. You've got the cause of the mind, or God, or the Son of God. Cause is a dream. Here's the dream. And now the dream seems to have causes, and there's a car moving, and there's a ball bouncing and stuff. But even though this dream seems to cause things to happen in the dream, this cause has authority over everything that is going on over here. And if this cause decides with its authority to change the rules or do something to the objects in the dream that this cause cannot make happen, that's going to look like a supernatural miracle, because all of a sudden the limitations and the laws that apply to this causal thing are no longer in effect. They are overridden by the authority of Christ. They are made to be shown to be broken, and that the limitations that those laws implied are artificial, and you're not really bound by them. Your mind is free. You're free of all limitations of this universe. That's why you are a supernatural miracle worker, and the miracles in A Course in Miracles are supernatural. It's not to do with shifting your mind and changing your perception as such. It's what the Holy Spirit enables you to do is not of this world. Miracles are supposed to demonstrate the breaking of physical laws. They're supposed to reveal the truth. So if you're in this world and you believe this is all reality and it's true, and somebody comes along and does something to a physical object, or a person is raised from the dead, or a terrible car accident is reversed and nobody's hurt, or a mountain gets moved or something, all of a sudden that shows you that things that you thought were true are not true, and now you no longer can believe in the illusions quite as much. You've been awakened a bit. You've been educated that the limited laws that you thought you lived under are not the be-all and end-all of what the extent of your freedom. You have more freedom than you realized. This world is more flexible than it appears. That's why Jesus says there is nothing that your holiness cannot do, because your holiness is absolutely unlimited. Everything in this world appears to be very limited, and so you've got much more freedom than the causes and the laws in this world seem to be able to make happen. You can make stuff happen that defies everything that you know to be normal or a consistent part of this world. And that's part of the purpose of performing miracles here, is to prove that this is a dream, prove that this reality is not reality, prove that things that you thought could never be healed can be healed, prove that sin can be reversed and the consequences of sin, which is death, can be reversed. Prove that you're not bound by physical matter and forms and gravity and limitations of any kind, not having enough food, not having abundance, not being able to levitate or pass through walls, or disappear and reappear, or appear in multiple locations at once, bilocating. These are all natural to the sons of God. This world is unnatural. There are unnatural limitations here, and you're not supposed to be bound by them. You're not supposed to be confined by them. You are supposed to be free. This is part of I am not a body, I am free, because you are free from the limitations of the body. You are a much vaster, more powerful being than you seem to be. We've just have isolated ourselves so much and made ourselves little. Jesus says everything in this universe is little because it comes from the idea of littleness. We've made everything tiny and small and weak and insignificant to try to hide our magnitude, to try to act like these little tiny little ants on the surface of a ball, pretending that they don't have any power, being victims and dying. And this is all a big cover-up for just how extraordinarily, magnificently powerful we are and how unlimited we are. We are not bound by the laws of this universe. Miracles are supernatural expressions of the power of love, which is life. There is nothing that God cannot do. There's nothing the Holy Spirit cannot do through you. This is what we have to open up to as becoming miracle workers. It's not just going to be nice little tidy, keep it in the box, keep it behind closed doors. Jesus walked on water, pretty spectacular. Moses parted the Red Sea, pretty spectacular. He says the things that he's done, you will be able to do all of these and more. There is no limit to what you can do. So I'm going to wrap up here, I think, and I think I hopefully made it fairly clear why and how it's possible that miracles are supernatural. It's simply because this is not the starting point of reality somewhere else, and this is a secondary expression, the appearance of form, which is very blinding. And buying into it is buying into an illusion. It's a fictional story world where the characters are deliberately limited and the rules of the story are deliberately confining so that you don't realize that you have much more freedom than is apparent. You can do literally anything. So becoming a miracle worker means becoming supernatural. Let's get those supernatural miracles rolling. God bless, and have a nice day.